Their concerns have been influenced by the fact that the associated cost for importing petroleum products for May and June this year have gone up significantly. One can talk about insurance, freight, and even demurrage at the ports. Insurance for bringing down these products have jumped from the $1,000 range to more than $1 million. Again, due to the surge in demand for petroleum products, any delays in placing the request could mean that it might not arrive on time. For some of these importers, their concern is no longer about the cost, but product availability going forward. Another issue that some of these bulk importers have told Joy Business is that we even don't have enough fuel tanks for storage in the country. So even if they bring in enough products today, where to store them could be a challenge. So whilst we now grapple with rising prices of petroleum products locally and even the possibility of transport fares going up, another issue that should give us some sleepless nights is that if this war should continue, product availability, not now, but in the future, could be a challenge.
Now, let's get on to Zoom and speak to the Chief Executive of the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors, Dr. Patrick Ofori, for more update on this. Doc, it's good to have you with us this afternoon. This is Winston. And let's start with, what do you make of the developments in the Middle East and their impact on prices locally?
Good afternoon, Winston, and good afternoon to your viewers. As you may be aware, petroleum products, like any other international commodity, is benchmarked internationally. And whatever happens in any part of the supply chain or the geopolitics that impact on the movement of these products automatically affect any country on this earth. So, as you may be aware, the tensions that are going on there has impacted on LNG supply to Europe and diesel supply to Europe. On the basis of this, other vessels are stuck within the region that they are unable to move product coming in there. And with that, it has created a bit of supply constraint, which is impacting the demand for the product. So as Europe is in search for energy alternatives, which diesel becomes the easiest and the most reliable one when LNG supply is not coming, for them to keep their home and their houses, their offices warm. It's critical, and it has somehow impacted on our ability to be able to also
Great. Now, Doc, what do you make of concerns expressed by some BDCs about future?
What that has impacted on insurance, fleet charges, and even the cost of the commodity.
Great. Doc, now what do you make of concerns expressed by some BDCs about future supplies to Ghana?
Future supplies, as you may be aware, we've not actually, we shouldn't be concerned so much about it, because we normally will look at our arrangements with our international partners within maybe 2 months forecast. And from where I sit, I can confidently say that we don't have issues with supply coming in for the month of April and then that of May. And also with the regulator publishing the laycans, we are now firming up almost all cargoes that will be heading to Ghana post mid-May onwards. And our market intelligence and our relationship with our international oil trading partners confirm that, yes, we may have access to the product, but the prices are what has changed dramatically. Mention can be made of insurance costs, which has ballooned out of the roof. Vessels rates have also increased. And then normally when you bring the product in the vessels coming down here and there are issues about bad weather or any changes with regards to quality issues that you may need to go back and confirm with the labs to check the product quality and all that. If you are unable to plan well and get into the Ghana waters at the required time for you to do all your testing and all the necessary paperwork for you to be able to dock, you are likely to incur huge hemorrhages charges, which previously used to be around $30,000 to $50,000. But as I'm speaking, for cargoes coming in end April to May, now vessels chartering, they are indicating between $80,000 to $120,000 a day.
Doc, will you say it's a matter of time or what? Because countries like South Africa have started experiencing product shortages.
Every country and its market dynamics. You talk about Ghana, we have a varied supply source, and that is something that we should be grateful for, because you look within even our members partner varied oil marketing, international oil marketing companies with less than 20% of our partners picking products from the Gulf region, or who are partners within the Gulf region. With that, we've been able to be rest assured about supply and its relative issues without any consequence to some of these challenges that may occasion. Not only that, we've also have our major trading partners having stronger relationship Dangote, either they supplying them crude and off taking the refined products, which has also in a way lessened the burden and has also provided a reliable supply source for us. In addition, as a country, we've been blessed with the investment of the private sector. Cintio Refinery that is currently providing about 30% of our daily consumptions, which also take the burden of most of our international partners. And we also aware that some of these, our international trade partners, are the ones who have been locking in the cargoes with Cintio to ensure at least production at Cintio continue to go on. And we can confidently say that the monthly receipts of 1 million barrels that Cintio will need to produce has also been confirmed for this month and then the subsequent month. Just that they all face with huge changes in price differentials, with premiums for crude moving from $3 previously to now $20 and even $25 on a barrel. So that clearly gives you a huge delta. Judging from previously, you would have paid for 1 million barrel, you would have paid like just $3 million or so, but now you are supposed to cough out over 125 million to cover for the whole parcel. So these are some of the eminent challenges that we face. But for supply availability, I don't think as a country we have any issues with that. But our key concern should be the pricing, which will be difficult for us to guarantee.
Finally, Joker, now do you find it intriguing that we still don't have strategic reserves? And also, what should government be focusing on in the immediate term before possibly future terms?
I think the issues about strategic reserves is a bit dicey. Whatever you have in the country as we are speaking to you now forms part of the reserves, which we are lucky the private sector has the capacity to do that. What I would say is that successive previous governments, based on varied challenges that occasioned during their regime, came up with some positives. We saw that from President Kufuor's time, when we used to be held to the gun by toll workers going on demonstration here and there and that, other issues. and then Tor not being able to push on their cost of production to the market because of government was subsidizing. That created the BDC sector, which has reliably kept the country wet in all these years. Within 2015, we had challenges with the under recoveries payment, which also brought a major policy initiative that have also changed our downstream, the petroleum price deregulation, which means that you are responsible for the product that you bring, and you are supposed to price responsibly to ensure that you recover any forest losses. Then the Ukraine, which the way we dealt with our foreign exchange, and then move strongly into using gold as a major reserve. And I think if there is anything for us to do.
Great. Thank you very much, Dr. Patrick Kweku Ofori, for speaking with us here on the development in the Middle East and its implication on our domestic oil reserves and possibly a chances of government ensuring there is a sustainable supply of fuel for various economic activities. Now moving on, the Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Isiama, has assured that the central bank is committed to driving down interest rates. He emphasized that the Bank of Ghana is also prioritizing maintaining a stable exchange rate environment to foster business growth. According to him, high interest rates in recent years have been detrimental to the economy and private sector expansion. The governor made the remarks during an engagement with businesses and banks on the sidelines of the Kwehu Business Forum 2026. Joining us to explore this is banking consultant Dr. Richmond Echiahene. Doc, it's good to have you with us this afternoon. Now, I want to get from you. Now, the Bank of Ghana governor wants us to have a low interest rate regime, possibly a stable exchange rate as well. From where you sit, data, historical, and preset, do you foresee this to be possible?
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to your viewers. I think it's possible. It should be possible. Once you've been able to drive the inflation down at a cost, it should be possible to bring it down. The reason why I'm saying is that some of the measures put earlier, like the cash reserve ratio, they introduced the high cash reserve ratio in 2024. And then it was updated in 2025 June. All these things mopped out the CD to take a lot of CDs out of the system. And again, Bank of Ghana has been aggressive in the OMO operations. And all these things cost money. That's why the governor said that it has cost us about 17 billion. To talk about the OMO over the period. OMO means that you go into the market, sell the government paper, 14-day paper, get the money back, and you continue doing that until you find out that inflation has gone down considerably. So by so doing, what it has to be is that after you have tackled the financial side of the equation, the cash reserve ratio, you need to bring it down so that you can free a lot of money, because some banks are leaving 15%, some are 20% of their money, what we called tax-free at the central bank. But if you want to free it, once you've got inflation down, that strategy should be relaxed a bit so that more money can come to the banks so that they can lend at a cheaper cost. And one variable which has been with us for a very long time, which needs to be tackled very well, is the non-performing. For every 100 cities, 18, let's call 19 is bad. And if we say 19 is bad, if you add the cash reserves and you add the non-performing, it means you're taking close to 40% of the money in circulation into waste. So if we can improve the non-performing to a certain level like 10% from 18.9, according to February figures, 18.7, if we can get to say 10%, then there is possibility that we can see an interest rate of 10%, because these two factors that I've talked to you are key variables, very, very good variables. Right. And they were used, especially cash reserve and the MPR, the MO. It was used to mop up the excess liquidity. That's why we're seeing inflation has come down from 23 to
Dr. Tiani, interesting. Now, do you think that the governor is coming up with all these concerns to water the ground for their 2025 financials?
Oh, whatever we call it, whether to water it down or not, is the reality. If you want to target inflation, as he has done aggressively over the last 1 year, it is going to be at a cost. So whether he is making a loss or he's making it, I think it goes to support the economy that the economy has enjoying. I mean, let me tell you, currently, inflation is the lowest in the sub-region. It is the lowest in the sub-region, except that the lending rate is slightly higher. So if we consider the cost, the 17 billion, even if we add it to his, whether his losses or income, and we make even a loss, I don't think he's trying to tell us. He's trying to give us these figures are very important as far as inflation is concerned. And at least he has achieved something that has not been achieved over the time. I think in my time, I have never seen inflation at 3.3% the whole of my life. So to bring inflation down, keep the city stable, if the cost is high, and he has already told us the cost. He says 17 billion. And those of us who have been following it knows that you cannot use that strategy. You can't use any strategy. But that strategy has to be very aggressive. That's why he was conducting 14-day OMO. You know, we moved from 1 month to 14 days because he wanted to mop up. And these are costs. So for me, it is not trying to water down the profit or loss, because central bank are supposed to make, not to make all the time make profit, but also to ensure financial stability. And so if he can actually help him bring the non-performing down, I think it's kudos for him. And we can see that we can get to 10% in a bank lending rate.
Finally, Doc, what should we choose? Should we look at high inflation or possibly pay more to keep it low?
Well, it's a dichotomy. You either pay more and control it or leave it to run. Unfortunately, inflation has been an albatross on this country for a very long time. We set ourselves 8 plus minus 2. We haven't achieved it since, I think, I've forgotten the year, quite a long time ago. So by doing it at a cost and achieving it, and also at the same time achieving the city stability, I think we shouldn't get too much bogged down by the cost. Because after all, if you look at it critically, the DDEP destroys central bank. We are talking about 60 billion. So then that one is an investment made loss. But if we are actually tackling something which has been an albatross on the economy at a cost of 17 billion, for me, if they comes into their statement, 17 billion OMO operation, I won't be worried at all, because that is had to be done, because inflation does not help the economy. It doesn't help investors. It doesn't have even planning. You yourself, you can't plan. But at least today we can say that 3.3, which is the lowest in the sub-region, at least is a mark point for us at a cost. So we shouldn't be worried too much about the cost, because it is there as if you look at their setup, the mandate to do it, to financial stability and price stability. Right. Inflation targeting at 8 minus 2%. Today we are lower than minus 8%. So I believe we shouldn't get too much bogged down about that.
Dr. Richmond Tiahene says we shouldn't be too worried about the cost. Thank you so much for speaking with us here.